Hello everybody. In today's video, I'll show you 5 different ways, or more like a 5-step process, which can be used to fix malformed faces on your portraits like this. I think most of the videos are telling you to jump on the editor right away and start fixing the face, but I think there's a better approach for this, and I'm going to tell you all the steps you need to know to avoid pictures like these, so make sure to watch till the end. Before I get started, if you don't have a Leonardo AI account yet, make sure to come to my playlist called Leonardo AI. By the way, they introduced a pricing structure yesterday, so the number of free tokens that you have available might be different from what you see in these videos. Also, if this is your first time to my channel, I recommend you to go to my playlist section to find the playlists that are relevant to you. Alright, let's get started. So if you watched my video from yesterday, I was trying to generate a woman in a black dress, and my first few generations showed a lot of faces that were malformed. And I want to tell you how to proceed with your image generations to avoid that. I think the first way or the first step to do this is to choose your model correctly. If you go to the Leonardo AI homepage, you're going to see a bunch of models which have been featured. So if you go to the fine-tuned models section and go to this drop down right here on the right, you're going to see there's a bunch of categories that are set up already. So find the categories which are set up for portraits. For example, photography or characters or fashion. Usually, these models are set up for better faces. Or you can come to these platform models and check out some of its examples. For example, if you go to this model called RPG4, you're going to see a lot of its generations have pretty good facial structure. Another example would be Leonardo Creative. You're going to see that some of his generations have pretty good facial structure, and this is not due to the prompt. See, all they mention here is a white-haired girl under snow, and it generated a really good face. So it has definitely nothing to do with the actual prompt, but more with the model. So my point is, if you do a little bit of research on the model you're using and choose the correct model, most of the time you won't even have a malformed face to fix. After finding the model that you like, you can just click generate with this model, and it's going to pre-select that model in your drop down right here. The second preventative thing that you can do before you even start your generation is to use a proper negative prompt. These are things like 2 heads, extra face, or extra heads. If you avoid these things from your prompt, if you add these as prompt exclusions, it's going to drastically increase the chances of your face to be well formed. If you want to learn more about how prompt exclusions work, you can come to this playlist called Playground AI, and I have a video on that already. Alright, those are the 2 things you can do before you start making your generations. Now let me go over some things that you can do after you have generated your image and you want to fix this face. Let me set up some expectations straight first. So AI image editing is not exactly like editing on Photoshop. So we're trying to generate new versions of the face versus trying to fix a specific part using a pen or a brush. We are definitely reliant a little bit on how well the AI is trained here, because we are not doing manual editing. Also, the quality of AI image editing does depend on how well you prompt. So if you're a beginner at prompting, then you might not be able to provide the correct prompts for it to fix the face for you. So you do need to play around with prompts a little bit if you want to use an AI image editor to fix faces. Alright, now that we have our expectations straight, let me go over the third thing you can do to fix faces. So usually, if you just click a creative upscale, it does fix faces sometimes. So by the way, the pricing structure has changed, and now an upscale costs you 10 tokens. Just be aware of that. Alright, so this is the original image and this is the upscaled image. As you see, the face did improve a little bit. In this picture, the eyes were kind of out of focus and the lips were out of focus. When you upscale the image, both the lips and the eyes did get better. They didn't get better all the way, but they did improve. So the first thing I recommend is to just try upscaling, and sometimes that would fix the face. And if it doesn't, I still recommend upscaling anyways to proceed to the next steps, because if you want to use the editor, usually an upscaled image has more details so you can work more intricately. Alright, the fourth thing you can do here is actually open that upscaled image in the editor. Because what happens is the upscaling makes the image much larger, so your canvas here, your grid, can actually focus just on the face versus trying to regenerate other parts of the body. There's one more thing I want to mention before you start any of the editing process. So currently, Leonardo AI only allows Stable Diffusion 1.5 and 2.1 for your generations. The original issues with the faces did happen in the Stable Diffusion 1.5 model, so that's not a model I recommend for portraits anyways. So you are definitely a bit restricted in this AI canvas, because even if you generate an image using a different model and you have some issues with the face, when you come to the editor, you're still restricted to using only Stable Diffusion 1.5 and 2.1. Alright, now I'm going to select a prompt and try generating this face. So I'm going to say perfect face, and I'm going to do 4 generations. Alright, as you see, there's not much Stable Diffusion could do with the current state of the face, because according to Stable Diffusion 1.5, this face is already perfect. So there's not much you can do here. Let me try fixing this face instead on the canvas, which has more issues than the other one, and this was also generated using Stable Diffusion 1.5. If you open this image on the editor, this time I'm not upscaling, even though I recommend upscaling anyways. You see how the size of the image is really small, so you can't really zone in on the face and try to fix specific parts of it. And the issue here is the grid selection here does not go anything below 512 by 512. Or else what I would have done is I would have changed the dimensions of this grid all the way to something like 100 by 100, so it would only be around this face and try to generate a perfect face there. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna keep my grid right here and say beautiful lady in a black dress with a perfect face. As you see, this is the issue of using the canvas. If you can't really zone in on the face, you're going to see changes around which has nothing to do with the face. So it seemed to not change the face at all. It did expand this room, which is great, but it did not focus on the face. This time, let me try upscaling first before moving on the canvas. So I'm going to click Creative Upscale. Alright, this is the original image and this is my upscaled image. It did fix the face quite a bit compared to the last one. Now let me try opening this in the canvas. You see how there's a lot more space to work with. I can now move this back on the face. Let me edit the prompt to say perfect face. I'll add nothing else. I'll just focus it on the face and do 4 generations. Ideally, I would like to have more control on the model in the canvas, and I hope that they add it in Leonardo AI in the future. Alright, I seem to have a slight improvement. If you zoom in all the way though, you're going to see there's still issues with the teeth and this right eye. I think this eye looks decent, but like I mentioned before in my disclaimers, that this is not Photoshop. So you are definitely reliant a little bit on what the AI model can do. The last thing I want to show you is less about the actual facial structure, but more about something on the face. So if there's some leaves on the face that you want to remove, I'm going to upscale first and open this on the editor. Alright, now as you see, there's more issues here than I thought there was. I thought there was just leaves on her face, but as you see, her hand is misformed as well. Let me deal with them one at a time. But before I get started, again, like I mentioned, this image was generated using Leonardo Creative, and all I have here is Stable Diffusion 1.5 and 2.1 to work with. So there might be issues, but I want to do it anyways. So I'm going to move my grid on her face right here, but this time I'm going to add an eraser on these leaves. And try to erase everything that is on her face. I'm going to change my prompt to perfect face and hair. I'm going to use 4 tokens. I have to keep my model selected as Stable Diffusion 1.5. Unfortunately, I would have liked to do this with Leonardo Creative, but I don't have that option. So I'm just going to keep that mask and click Generate. Alright, I have 4 generations of me erasing that leaf off her face. This one did remove it a little bit. Let me try the other ones. This one added something else. Alright, I think this one is the best one I have. So I did manage to remove the leaves off her face, so this is also in the category of face correction, but less about the actual characteristics of the face, but more like things that are on her face. Just to complete this video, I want to do the same thing on her hands as well. I'm going to say perfect fingers. I'm going to add a mask on her hands right there, so it focuses on those specific parts. Alright, this does vary based a little bit on the size of your mask because it's going to try to fit that hand in the limits of that mask. The issue here is, like I mentioned, this is an AI editor, so the AI will have to think of that space it has on the mask area and try to generate as much as it could, but a lot of times it's not gonna succeed because it doesn't have any context of this person. It just has context on that mask, because you see it has added this extra hand with proper fingers, but it looks like someone else is coming up from inside her and grabbing this other hand. So like I said, this is not Photoshop, so this is an AI editor. So based on the instructions you give it, it's going to try to fit the generations in that area, and sometimes that's going to give you weird designs. I'm just going to select this and move on. But I hope you understand how to remove things off her face using the eraser. And I think that's all the steps you can do to improve the quality of the faces that you produce in your portraits. If you're confused on any of the things that I did in today's video, all of them are listed in my Leonardo AI playlist. So make sure to watch the different sections so you understand what I did today. But I hope you got some value from today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to click like and subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more videos coming up. Till the next one, thank you so much.